Another video that I wanted to make today is a really wild concept to wrap your brain around. But this is, if you go into like a counselor or a psychologist will look at your past and see your family history and see what experiences you've had and what belief systems that you've developed, and seeing where you can possibly make some changes in your belief system to create a different experience for yourself. And a counselor, a good counselor will basically just be somebody for you to talk to that asks you the question, what is your problem? What is the solution you want to see? And how do you think you need to, what do you have to do to make it happen? So basically, when you go in and see, a psychiatrist or psychologist or a counselor, you're basically using them to help you solve whatever problem it is you're experiencing. So there's definitely a problem involved. Could be a mental illness, could be, you know, anything. It could be an addiction, anything. But any type of problem that you have, if you can communicate with, a professional, somebody that knows specifically what they're doing, that help guide you towards you finding your solutions, is the reason why we have counselors, psychologists, they're there to help you solve problems. The problem with that is the types of questions they ask are has the potential to be leading, and they can have the education to manipulate you to develop the counselor's belief system, because the counselor has a perspective, has a life experience, and the only thing that they know about right and wrong is their own experiences and their own understanding of it. And if they see you walk into the room, they're going to try and manipulate you into believing the same thing that they believe in, which is earning the almighty back. And one way or another, they are in supportive of a tiered economic system, which means they're going to manipulate you either to be the slave or the slave master, or anything that creates this dysfunctional um, global reality that we're experiencing. But um, there still is a lot of information that you can use to your benefit if you understand the processes of what's going on. Now, when you go into a counselor, they'll be like, okay, what's the problem? And they'll also ask you what it is you perceive to be the solution. They want you to define what it is you want. So that's basically what you got to do for yourself, is define the problem and what is the solution to it. What would you, in a magical world, what would you like to see happen? And then a good counselor will ask you for your answers. They should not push their idea of an answer, but get you to see your own answers. Anybody that's guiding you down a path, anybody that's offering you solutions, is somebody that's guiding you down their path. So that's what you got to do, is know and trust that there is a science that's used within the psychiatric world that knows beyond a doubt that you have the answers to every problem that you experience. That's a known fact. This is what they're being taught in psychology, is you have the answers all along. So you got to believe in that science, and then it's communicating with the problem that you're experiencing. It's like, what does your problem want? You have the problem, you are experiencing that problem, so that problem is part of you, and what you want is the solution, so that solution is part of you. It's really complicated to try and wrap your brain around this. So there is a process of, if you could take that problem outside of yourself and give your problem what it is that it wants, because if that problem is you, you want something. And if you are the solution, then whatever it is you give to the problem, you're actually giving something to yourself, because there are two aspects of yourself. If you are the solution, you are going to do something that gives something positive to yourself. It's a really, really wild concept to wrap your brain around. But if you can see every problem that you experience in the world, if you think that all of the control is somebody else has to do something to unfold the solution to your problem, you'll never ever gain any power at all. That is where we're at right now with, I mean, kind of observe what's happening in the Gulf. You know, they're all being poisoned. They're starting to test their blood, and anybody that's living down there, they're all being poisoned slowly. They're all going to get cancer. I mean, there is a way of curing all of that, but don't you find it odd that you're being poisoned and nobody's moving, nobody's doing anything, nobody's fighting, nobody, you know, it's like we're sitting ducks, that we all have these problems, but we're going to sit there and do nothing, waiting for somebody else to come and save the day. And it's like, no, this is your problem. You need to be the solution of the problem. And as soon as you put yourself in a position of power, then you can solve some problems. But as soon as you're going to wait for somebody else, nobody is waiting. There ain't no God. I pray to God. There is a God, but God doesn't come and save you. God shows up when you show up. You have God-like powers. God will be there. You know, as soon as you decide to show up. And showing up just means that you have to give something to your problem. And that is in a war environment as well. It's almost like evil is not what you think it is. Because if you look at the problems that you experience, if that problem is an aspect of yourself, then, and to give your problem something that it wants, and if your problem you relate it to an evil thing, then giving evil what it wants, if we look at it from that perspective, that's like the worst possible thing we could possibly ever do. Give evil what it wants. Give the problem what it wants. It's like the hardest thing to wrap your brain around, because we have all of these perceived enemies. We have all of these wars. We have all of these elites. We have so many enemies. And yet the enemy is an aspect of ourselves. And how can we give the elites, give our enemies what it is they want? It just doesn't make any sense to even look at life from that perspective, to give your enemy what it is they want. Give your problem the solution that it wants. But if we can comprehend that, then we can see a massive shift take place. And I've seen this perspective from my experience, that I raised my kids to have a voice. I didn't have a voice when I was a kid, and I seen the world completely different, and didn't think money was the, you know, the thing to go and aim for, but that's what my family says, you're only somebody if you have a lot of money. And I think the world experience is about something completely different, that nobody has been on the same page as me, but I think we're kind of getting there. And changing our perspective is the way to go. So I've been raising my kids to try and see what it is that they want, and really listening to them. And, you know, because I felt I knew some answers, I felt maybe my kids would have answers if they had a voice. So what ends up happening, especially if you're trying to teach your kids, hey, you're brilliant and you're smart and you can make anything happen, they tend to be extremely smart people. So when you start trying to discipline your kids and teach them right from wrong, you have the conversation with them instead of, heavy discipline, which means that they're going to have a conversation and try and manipulate you into, oh, just letting me have my way. And when you raise genius people, when they actually are genius people, and, just like the elites, just like any of your enemies, because while I'm a parent trying to discipline a child, it's like, okay, they're on the other side of this disagreement, this war that we're experiencing. So they want to get their way. And as a parent, you got to tell them this doesn't make any sense. You're going to do more harm to yourself or to your future, or, and when you let somebody have a voice, they get to, I mean, they will come up with a million different really great reasons why they should do what it is they want to do. And that has been a lot of my challenges in raising my kids, is as soon as they come up with a logical reason, then they end up getting their way. And that's the same thing with these elites. As soon as they get so much power, um, then they get to do what they want to do. And it's almost like we have to be stronger than them. We've got to be smarter than them. It's, as a mother, I should be stronger than my children. And whatever argument they want to have, if I want to teach them to be smart, then I always got to be smarter than they are, and not allow them to outwit me and outsmart me. And, so when you do have conversations with that, I'm grateful for that experience, because my kids ended up making me a lot smarter. The more they wanted to do something, the more that made me have to justify and really think about my reasoning and my rules, everything. And it's almost like that's what these elites are doing. That's what our enemies, that's what our problems are doing, is it's pushing us to be smarter than the problems. It's pushing us to unfold our fullest potential. It's pushing us to be the leaders of ourselves, instead of waiting for somebody else to show us the path that they, hey, if you want to be guided, then here's my path. This is the path I want you to be guided down. If you are in disagreement with their path, then that is your problem. Is you need to find your own path. Start taking charge. Start getting a lot smarter. And we have to get together globally, because there's a universal shit that we have to unfold our godlike powers and get together and solve some more universal problems that nobody's talking about. But we do need to come together and see what our enemies want and what the solutions are. And you'll be really, really surprised what your enemy really wants, which at the end of the day, they do want peace, they do want love, they just don't know how to get it. None of us know how to make that happen. But that's the shift. That's what's going to happen. Pretty cool. But you got to wrap your brain around something completely different. Peace out.